Let's make our winter snow owl together. I'll show you all the steps and processes to make our winter snow owl. We are going to start with gray paper. We have a white and a black oil pastel. And I want you to imagine how big this roll of tape is. Now, if you have roll of tape, you can trace it. But if you don't, just imagine how big it is. And that's about how big we want our room. So you may go around with a black oil pastel. Remember, it doesn't need to be perfect. Each little phase of the moon is a little bit different. So you're not working for perfection. You just want to get your moon in there. After you get the circle, what you're going to do is just color a little bit with the black. And then I don't know if you've ever observed the moon or noticed the moon, but it looks like sometimes there's a face inside the moon. So what I like to do is I like to put my black oil pastel down, and then I kind of just create this little texture. Right? So now I pick up my white oil pastel. It's okay if it's crusty. I actually like that it has all these other colors on it. I think it's cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over all the black to create a lighter gray and to create value. And it's going to look like it's glowing in the night sky. So I'm just going to take my time and add this white oil pastel. If things get too white inside your moon, you can always add a little bit more black. Okay. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to sharpen up this little line over here. So I'm going to go around and make this just a little bit darker. And notice I'm turning my paper. I feel like I make a better circle when I turn the paper just a little bit. All right, put your name on your paper and slide this to the side. We're done with it for now. We're going to work on our blue paper. And we're going to create the illusion that our moon is glowing. So back to the white oil pastel, and somewhere up towards the top where you want your moon, you're going to take your oil pastel and you're going to scrape it. So holding it down like this, picking it up like a little crab, you're just going to go in a few little circles. You want it bigger than your idea tape because it'll look like your moon is glowing. Okay? And from here, on the edges, you're going to take your finger and smudge it out. You want the idea of like a glowing moon at night. There you go. Perfect. So you're going to get back your moon paper and cut it out. I do want to leave that black border, so right alongside of the black, I am going to cut. If you don't like it, you can cut it out. So my art teacher trick, my one scissor hand is chomping, and this hand's doing all the turning. I will glue my moon. However I think it looks good. I'm actually going to fix this up just a little bit. I don't like that little divot. Okay. Get your glue stick or your glue and add a little bit of glue to the back and put it right on top of that glowing circle we made. Okay, like it like that. There you go. Tap it down. And then I'm going to turn it over and rub. All right. We have our moon for our winter snow owls. Now, the next step, you have a choice. I'm going to show you your two choices. We're going to work on the background. So imagine taking a picture and think about how the background looks fuzzy. That's what we're going to work on. For this one, I have white and black for the background trees. And then for the example you saw in the beginning, it is just black trees. So if you would like to just do the black trees, you are more than welcome to just do the black trees. Or if you want to add white, you can as well. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take our oil pastel. Now I like to scrape it tall. So starting at the very bottom, all I'm going to do is take my oil pastel and bring it up. Now your trees can just be like this if you like them. If you wanted to get fancy, simply turn this tree into a Y. Okay, and this is starting to make some of the branches. And if you want to get extra fancy, you can keep making Ys, however big you would like. So I'm going to keep going. Just a few trees in the background. And your trees can go in front of the moon. Because imagine the moon up in the sky. The trees would be in front of it. And if you want to get a little more details in some of your stuff, this is where you do it. Okay. And it doesn't need to be neat. Just think about walking in a forest and think about how everything kind of intersects and goes in front of each other. All right. Once you get your background, you are going to take your finger and you are going to smudge it, getting that blurry look that happens when you take a photograph of something, how the background is blurry and the foreground is in focus. So we want our background to be blurry, the things behind our owl to be blurry. Just gonna rub it, and if it's not rubbing, that just means you need a little bit more oil pastel. All right, time to work on the middle grounds, and what I have here are trees. So you can create Y trees if you would like. Okay, you see them? And all that is literally just a black strip of paper, and I just cut a little bit off. Notice how it's a little bit thicker towards the base and how it gets thinner. If that's not for you, you are more than welcome just to glue on regular strips of paper. Okay, so take a look at this. I'm going to show you a couple options. You get to pick what you like. Oh, I found another white tree. All right, some thick, some thin. They can go in front of the moon, next to the moon, and they don't have to be perfectly straight. They can be a little bit diagonal to create some interest. Do you notice it already? Do you notice that these black trees we're about to put on looks like they're in front of the trees that we just made blurry? I will show you how to make some of the Y trees if you would like. Otherwise, you can just kind of glue on these pieces. I'm going to cut just a little bit off because trees are not straight up and down. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to kind of make a little wavy line and cut it off. Okay. Turn that upside down because trees are thicker at the bottom. And I can glue this on if I like that. Maybe on a little bit of an angle. Maybe in front of the moon. I don't know. I'm the artist. I get to choose. But I like to play around with some of the ideas. Okay. I'm going to glue these down and I'll check back in with you in a minute. There we go. Add the snow falling. So of course you can splatter paint. Of course you can use a white oil pastel and add a little bit of snow that way. I think I'm going to get a little bit of paint and show you a new method. I've got my white paint and I've got my paintbrush. Instead of dotting it with the bristles, I'm going to turn it over and just use the back of my paintbrush to make these perfect little circles. I'm going to do this all over my painting to create a snowy, snowy scene for my snow owl. Time to work on our owl. So take a look. Okay. I actually have two pieces for the owl. And I painted this on blue paper, but the example I'm about to show you, I painted on black paper. It really doesn't matter. I also used a little bit of gray and white. Think about where you want its face to be, how you want to hold it. If you don't have painted paper, you can certainly use just plain white paper or plain gray paper. But for this, I'm going to turn it backwards so you can see my drawing. And if I mess up, I don't ruin my beautiful painted paper. So stay with me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the top of the head of my owl. So that's going to kind of curve. It's a gentle curving line. And then the ears are like the letter M. So I'm going to come out, down. Okay. I'm going to do both ears. Out, down. Okay. And then this line, little side of the body kind of comes about halfway down-ish. The other side kind of comes and turns. So it's like a gentle turning edge of the body. Okay. From here, I'm going to kind of make the wing shape. So it's going to come in here when I draw it. But when I cut it out, this is just going to be like the silhouette of it. And this is going to be another, well, I guess this looks like more like a W than an M. So here we have the basic owl shape. If you don't like it, you can kind of make this a little bit bigger. I think that's what I'll do. This wing a little bit bigger. And then you can make the face. Let's take a look at the face. What shape does this look like? It looks like a heart to me, just without the straight bottom, the pointy bottom. So if there's room, I have a little bit of room here. I am going to make my heart shape, my heart-ish shape. If there's not room, that's okay too. You can just kind of draw the face right onto the bird on the other side after we cut it out. Oops, pressed too hard. It will still work for me. Okay, so from here, we're going to cut this out. So notice we have the painted paper, but I'm going to still stay on this side so I can see the lines I've already drawn. Once again, one hand is chopping. The other hand is keeping my lines nice and straight by turning the paper for me. So I've got the owl face and the owl body. Now we're going to work with a little bit of the oil pastels. So on this guy over here, I thought he was a little too white, could use some definition. I chose to use blue, but right now I only have black and white. So I feel like for the face, I am going to outline this with a little bit of white just to kind of brighten it up and kind of get rid of some of this black painted paper back here. I'm going to just go around the edges. And with the oil pastels, if it turns out too white, smudge it away. That's why I like using oil pastels. And now for the eyes, all they're going to be is simple circles. If you want to make fancy eyes, you are more than welcome to. But I'm going to stick to these just little circle eyes. Okay. And it looks like for this guy, I had an orange oil pastel and some pink. You can do that as well. All right, I've got my colored oil pastels. And after walking away, I noticed this is a little bit too gray for me. So I'm just going to scrape my white oil pastel and just brighten this up just to kind of keep it a little bit more uniform on the face. All right. Then I'm going to go in with just a simple triangle. So a straight line, a pointed bottom, and just color it in. And then for the rosy cheeks, it's going to just be gentle. Okay, so I'm going to come in a little bit gently. And then I'm going to take my clean finger and just smudge it out just a little bit. And if you smudge it out too much, that's all right. You can add more. Okay, so I'm going to glue the face on like this. And then we're going to start to put it all together. All right. Decided that my owl needs a little bit more, I guess, definition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my black oil pastel. I'm just going to go around the edges for a little bit of detail, just to make them look a little bit more realistic. And notice I'm just scraping around the edges. Also notice I grabbed a little messy mat to kind of catch my details. And bring this in just a little bit to make it look like it's wing. And of course you can smudge it out. We love smudging over here. All right, what do you think? I think that looks a little bit better. I like them. Okay. So we have our background and our owl. And we are missing our branches. So for our branches, all I did was take brown paper and ripped it for the texture. Now, if ripping's not for you, of course you can cut. But I like the texture of the rip. I also added some color for interest. Down at the bottom, there's black, and up towards the top, there's a highlight from the moon. And I blended that all in. So let me show you exactly how I do that. All right, I have my brown paper I'm going to use for the branches that my owl is sitting on. And like I said, you can cut this if you want, but I do love the ripping texture. So I'm going to start by pulling the top, and this hand over here is going to help guide it to the shape that I want. And branches are all different varieties of shapes. So they can get thick and thin. And then I want to get rid of this straight edge. So I'm going to do the same thing. Notice my technique's a little bit different because this is a little bit smaller. So I am just pinching and moving my fingers down as I get down a little bit lower. All right. And from here, I can turn this into a Y branch like we talked about earlier. I can make this another branch, maybe behind them, which I think I might do. But I still have more paper, so let's see how another branch might look. And I'm using the same technique of just kind of sliding my fingers down as I rip. There we go. This looks cool. Okay, so I think I like this. I'm going to glue these together, and I think this might just be a background branch. So I will show you. You might need a messy mat for this. So I'm going to take my white, and I'm just going to scrape it just for a little bit of interest and value. And at the bottom, I'm going to add some black as a shadow and texture. And then you can take your finger and smudge it all in. What do y'all think? Pretty cool, huh? All right, work on the other one. Again, the bottom's black. And the top will be white. Merge it all in. There we go. I'm going to glue these together. And I'm going to start assembling this all together. There we go. And I am going to glue this all together. So I thought it might look cool to add little W feet with my black. And then I added white to kind of blend it in to make it look a little bit more gray. So I think I'll put them down here, a little snowy owl sitting on the porch. Perch, not porch. There we go. I lost my moon. I'm going to glue back on a moon.